under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Get a motion to open. We're gonna open the assessors meeting. Thank you for coming, Jim. We have an old business, a abatement that we're going over.
And we got a clerical fix on a couple of
Okay.
pieces. So let me read off that, get that out of the way real quick.
Oh,
There were two property tax abatements. One was a date error from the last session, and the other was a 22-cent
okay.
error. Anyway, these
So
need
we
to
need
be
those signed.
signed. Yeah, there's two.
So we need a motion to sign the abatement.
So moved, yes.
Just say, wait a second, account 500 map 008-029. That's one. So this is, we're paying them back this amount of money, $1,000? Is that what I'm looking at here?
No, we're not paying them. They got a bill in error.
Oh, so this is an error.
That was from last week, yeah.
Okay,
And it
so
was
build an error.
Yeah, it was
And
22 cents off.
the other one is, wait, let's just be specific here. The other one is this, where is it? What else do you want us to sign besides this? The supplemental tax certificate to bill for 22 cents. Where does it say what?
That's just, what's that?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
That's just
I
a
know what this is. So
certificate.
let's make a motion to sign this.
Okay,
Second,
yeah.
all in favor. And then let's figure out what is this supplemental? What is this? I don't wanna just sign it until we know what it is.
22 cents.
22 cents.
This is for 20,
Seriously,
really?
seriously.
Do we really have to do something like that?
Well,
Just turn it down.
Look who's doing it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay.
Who's doing it?
Just 22 cents. I'll be checked by
Okay,
the clerk. And then
okay.
that's
We need to sign the supplemental tax certificate for 22 cents. Do I have a second? All
Second.
in favor? I'm not sure why, but I guess would that actually entitle someone to a tax lien if they didn't pay
You will
42
spend more on the
cents?
postage.
No.
$5 is the limit.
$5.
It's
Sounds
just a
good.
substitution of a corrected form from
All
last
right.
session.
Abatement request. So this is the second round and an abatement request for 6 parcels. And we're not supposed to mention their names, are we, or is it public knowledge?
Assessments are public.
Assessments are public knowledge?
Knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, or you can say the applicant if you like. You know.
Okay, so the applicant is requesting various amounts of abatements off the assessed value for parcels 1 through 6. So I believe that Jim has given us, if you pull apart your first page and each one of these, we can figure out what's going on here. So the first parcel has been assessed at $71,320. The requested reduction in the abatement is not that they want $16,500, they want that reduced by that amount. Jim has done a lot of research on this and doesn't feel that it warrants a reduction in the abatement. How did you want to go forward with this? We're doing everyone's separate, one at a time. So,
And I'd be happy to offer any,
and this is a buildable parcel, correct?
no, it's not.
This is a non-buildable
No,
parcel?
what he did here is they're not comparable properties, and the one is a resource protected in the floodplain property. That's why it's only assessed for 20% of its full value. If I had assessed it at full value, which I did, I as an exercise to see if it wasn't resource protected, it would have assessed for over $100,000.
So if you look at his application, did they get these again this time? Do you have in your packets, this is what we were given last time?
Yes, yes.
So if you look at his reasoning, so what we're gonna try to do is determine his reasoning, and what Jim is telling us is
Number
he's
one.
comparing it to a property that's not comparable.
Mm-hmm.
And if this was a buildable parcel, what would it be assessed at?
Over $100,000.
Over 100,000. So the fact that it's unbuildable has already been taken into account in the assessed value. Do you feel that we should
They would assess-
agree or deny this particular parcel for a reduction?
I'm gonna go
Jason?
with what Jim says. I mean,
You
he
go.
hired him to be the
Yeah.
assessor.
That's what I'm looking for. Let's make a, you wanna make a motion on this particular one,
Yeah,
or we're gonna
I'll
go
make
with
a
this
motion
rule?
to deny.
Yeah, I
Second, all in favor? Okay. You recording that?
Yes, I
Okay,
should have the print.
okay, so you wanna make sure that it's recording, do you have this paper here? So, she needs, do we have an extra one of these, Jim?
Or-
We need- So that she could put the motion and the second on all of them?
But I don't.
Sure,
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah, I would maybe
I got
work with that.
more,
Yeah.
anyone.
Okay, so the next one, let's go to the next one. The next one, and if you wanna look up here, his application, which is, would be for the, it says number 6, but apparently
Yeah,
it isn't.
Yeah, the live assessed at 80 at the current certified ratio.
So the next one on here is assessed at 93,226, and his reasoning, the applicant's reasoning is again in comparison to the value of, which is 21,000 with 0.95 acres, crashing serve frontage mileage. You don't feel that that's comparative as well, and the reasoning is?
Well, he used the same resource protected parcel that he used for number 1.
How many acres is in the resource protected parcel, approximately? It must have a certain amount, or you can't do resource protection, right?
Yeah. No, it should be resource protected no matter what size it is. It's,
So if this, so this is 0.86, and the first one was.
The firehouse.
One is 9 acres, and the next one, this is only 0.86 acres, and it says,
yeah,
am I
this is-
reading this correctly? Reference to where it says 0.86 acre lot 4, is that the $93,000 one, it's less than an acre? I'm just,
Which one are you on, number 2?
I'm on number 2.
Number
Okay,
2.
all right, let me go to number 2.
Where on this piece does it say the amount of the acres, that's what I assume,
Reference
I
to-
assume it's that, so this one here was 9 acres?
Yes.
And, oh, because it's non-buildable, that's why it was lower, okay.
Yeah,
Is this a buildable lot?
0.86 acres.
Is it buildable?
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay, so,
It's
That would
assessed
be-
for 93,000.
and it's on the water,
Oh, yes.
and so, what it is. Okay,
It's lot number 4, it's a buildable,
so again, the applicant is requesting a reduction in assessment of $18,000. The, Jim is suggesting we deny this because he's using wrong comparables.
was using a resource protected
He's
parcel,
using a resource
The
protected
flood
parcel, which
plain.
makes it much
Which-
lower than,
which would assess for $102,000 if it weren't for the resource
Okay.
protection.
so it's fault,
Same reason.
it's
as
not
the other one.
correct
We
reason.
would agree, he would concur.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
Yeah, let's, I'm so moved that we concur with Jim's assessment.
And we deny this?
Yeah, and deny it, yeah.
Okay, second, all in favor? Okay, let's go to parcel 3. Parcel 3 is,
1,500.
This parcel was bought at auction from the town of Lubec back in 2012.
okay.
And the reasoning,
Am I on the right one, because mine only
Number-
says 8,852.
That's it.
Okay,
and her, the applicant's reasoning was it was purchased from the town as a tax sale for $1,250. It's
Oh,
not
here
a,
it is. It's
it's not
this
a
one.
fair market sale. It's not an open exchange. It was bought at tax auction. It's not,
Okay.
it's not a comparable valuation.
so he's trying to say that because he got it for back taxes, that he felt that the assessment should go
That's
down
cheap.
because of the that's not market value.
Cheap.
She. Okay, fine, she. So this is number 3?
Yeah.
So you want to keep the assessed value at 8,852?
Yes.
All right, well,
Yes.
how would you like to proceed with this?
Well, again, this parcel is resource protected, so it, you know, it's assessed for 20, it's not buildable.
Yeah, it's 0.13 acres, I mean, it's not, you can't build on it, right?
No, it's grandfathered, you could,
Is it grandfathered to build?
but it's resource protected, and it's in the floodplain.
Mhm,
And it's,
Is it on the water
and it's assessed for 20%.
mhm,
of what it should be?
Of its unbuildable, I call it unbuildable. So, an unbuildable parcels in Lubec, and generally, across, you know, the region, in this area, shorefront parcels in particular are generally assessed at 20% of what they would
mhm.
fetch you know, if they weren't. That's because you can, use them, you can get a mobile home and go down there and
Sure.
camp
So
on
it's
it.
it is buildable or it isn't? Grandfathered in,
It's not buildable.
but
But you could put a trailer on it.
Trailer.
Like a camper trailer.
They
Camper
can
trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody can use it for a vacation place.
okay,
Take a mobile
because there's
home.
already hookup there or something?
No, they, you know, self-contained mobile home with a,
Well, it doesn't seem that it's very highly, it's not a very high assessment now. What would you like to do with this property?
I move that we deny it, stick with Jim.
Mhm.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay.
and,
Next one.
you know, and let me just interject something here. Whether it's allowed or denied, okay,
Mhm.
it has to flow from the reasoning offered by the applicant, okay?
Okay.
I mean, we can't, you know, in terms of this specific application, I mean, it has to stand or fall on the basis of
Okay.
the argument they've set forth.
Yes. Is this attached to any other piece of his property? I mean, is it,
Okay,
It's down there in the
let's-
middle of, about, yes.
We've
so
already
he could
ruled,
feasibly attach it to
we've
something?
already,
Yeah,
we've
okay,
already
good.
ruled on it. So
Yeah.
let's go to the fourth one. This is, the requested reduction in assessment of $200,000. It's the assessed value right now is $314.
Right, that would make the assessed value of that big white house down there $114,000. And this is the third time, fourth time, actually, that this has been, you know, I've.
It's already been abated twice since 2008, and there's no
One.
comparables to reduce that.
One.
What would you like to?
And he
No,
says,
3 times, actually.
his rationale is that the adjacent property is oceanfront and his is not. However, his is ocean view, and down there, it's,
Well, let me offer up a little explanation
Mhm.
so that, you know, everyone will understand this
Yeah.
concept. The Supreme Court, the law court of the state of Maine has ruled that I could have an assessed valuation of, say, $400,000 on a property.
mhm,
I could have the house and the land reversed in terms of, $300,000 for the land and $100,000 for the house.
mhm.
That assessment would stand if it was a fair value.
Yeah.
It's the overall market value.
Yes.
Errors are allowed as long as, and that's not the case here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the land there is assessed because it's in the shoreland zone,
Mhm.
but it's not a shorefront
Yeah,
lot,
well,
but
the
it's
land
still.
is only $43,000 assessed, where the building's 270, so I don't think that you have it overly assessed
No,
No.
not at all.
for these properties.
No, he would not, apparently, I think Renee called him and asked him for the second time. I had asked him about 5 years ago when he had it for sale.
For how much?
He wouldn't tell me,
700.
and he got mad at me for calling him and
700,000.
asking. And it's on Zillow.
That's
for
public
about-
knowledge.
And it's on Zillow for about 700, but Renee did call him today and he refused to, give her a value.
A value.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's, one of the things he's supposed to do is to tell us what he believes his fair market value is. you
Yeah,
know.
I mean, you can get a statement from a broker who'll give you a comparative market analysis on your property before you go and
Right.
list it, and it's probably overpriced, but I'd have to look at the comparable.
This was done on
So
this
you're,
property already.
you're suggesting we
Well,
deny this?
he first contacted me in 2007. And that's when he had it up to that point, he had it on the market for $1.3 million. I had it assessed for $600,000. He got a hold of me. He wanted a reduction because of the crash at that time. I said, fine, you go get an assessor, an appraiser, and he gave me the valuation sheet, and it was for $400,000, and that's what I assessed it for in 2007, 2008. He subsequently came back and wanted a further reduction, and the Zillow listing was sitting at $670,000, and I don't know what else to do.
Well,
You've said enough for us, I
we
believe.
have certainly spent way more time than was necessary with this man.
Well,
Yes, but I think we have to take each thing,
We have
each
to
case,
do due
one at
diligence. Yeah.
one at a time.
yeah,
How do you wanna?
and every time somebody wants to revisit their assessments, like this gentleman, I take the time to go back in and pretend I've never seen this property before, and I go back and I actually go out and visit, and I go through it again, and I satisfy myself that there's no errors or omissions. If there are errors and omissions, I will reflect those, as I've done here.
It seems to me you've been very diligent in reducing the price. Do we have how do you wanna move with this
I
particular?
think we deny it. We deny it, yeah.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Let's see. Fourth one. Let's go with four. Is this the one that's assessed at 107? Currently
Yes,
assessed at
yes.
107, 481.
And he says it's a woodlot without power to be extended property.
Without power.
Which one are we on now?
We're on that,
Number five.
it's
5.
5, which is, he's requesting a reduction in assessed value of $40,800 on the $107,000 property.
Right, I went and I revisited this, and I applied a rear acreage algorithm
Mm-hmm.
that I believe, looking at the algorithm, I believe that, and it's an algorithm from before, years ago. And where, for example, it's a sliding scale, where if you have a 0 to 25, if you have 100 acres, the first 0 to 25 is X dollars. The next 25 to 50 is Y dollars. And on, up to, it maxes out around 75 acres. Well, I just said, this parcel's got
136 acre parcel.
Yeah, it's got 135 acres or rear acres, so I just set it at the 75 acre.
And is
maximum.
there a smaller one when you get to 100?
I forget, it goes up to, no, I think it's 75. But anyway, it kind of starts flatlining there. So I use that algorithm.
And
I just
you
use the-
determined
That
that,
it qualifies for an abatement of the valuation amount of $18,236.
now that's not a check to him, that's a reduction in the assessed value.
Mm-hmm.
So that would mean, the suggestion is
That's about
from our
$75.
assessor
Yeah.
is going from 107,481 to minus 18. I don't have a calculator, so it's like 90.
It'll be about $75.
It would equate to about $75.
Yeah, I got the math here.
Okay.
If you need that. I've got the exact.
So not giving him, but, well, it depends on the mill rate.
Right.
How would you like to proceed with this one?
We will go with, I would vote that we go with Jim's assessment.
That we will agree to a reduction in an assessed value of
Yes.
I'll second.
taking
Yes.
$18,239 off the
Yes.
off the 107,481. In which fiscal year? Going forward?
for last year, 18, 19, this
Okay.
year. And then I
So
put a
taxes
note at
due,
the top.
the taxes due May 31st.
Yes,
Okay.
and I put a note at the top that the board may approve numbers 5 and 6. You can do that. You can go back a year,
Okay, so,
you know, if you want.
so we're gonna do this year 18, 19.
Yeah.
So May 31st, he may have a little less taxes to pay on that one property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he asked
Can
for
we take it down?
2017 and 2018 for all of these, so you're gonna have to make a move on that. You're gonna have to make a recommendation.
So we need to make a motion. So we make a motion that we'll reduce the tax evaluation by 18,236 for the fiscal year 18, 19.
Yes,
Yes.
Second,
second.
all in favor? Was that clear enough?
And then we have one more, the final one?
All right, let's see, final one. This one. This goes out of order. I think it was this one that's 16,141, is that it? Yes. It's the,
Last,
if you're looking at the application, number 6 says assessed value 16,141. Is that the right one that we're looking at? And he's asking for $11,000 off the assessed value?
Yes,
And the reasoning is comparing to the value of the adjacent lot. This is 1/2 the acreage with less frontage and comes compared to crashing surf, overvalued for past 10 years, adjustment overdue.
well, let me make a couple comments.
Okay.
All right, if that's okay.
Yes.
There is no assessing going on in town of Lubec for the amenity of crashing surf. Okay,
although it sounds pretty good.
sounds good. But, you know, if I go and listen real careful, maybe, I don't know when the surf's gonna crash.
Oh, crashing surf can get on your nerves real quick.
Yeah. So, but, and we don't assess for views. What we assess for is history. What did properties similarly situated and comparable sell for? Comparables mean market values, and those are based upon experience. So I can't, I don't tell people, I don't create and write history. I record history. So, you know,
So what he's looking for is basically $5,000, $5,000 break
He's looking for $11,000.
on the total evaluation.
on the valuation.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's looking
Yeah,
for
out of 16, yes, you're right,
He wants
he wants to go
5,000.
back to 5,000 as opposed to
Yeah.
16,000. He
And-
wants it assessed at 5,000
Oh,
instead of 16.
No, he wants it at 11.
No, that's the
That's what
requested
it-
difference
yeah.
taken off of the assessment, which would be reducing it to 5. It's a little confusing.
The $32 or the 3,228 assessed valuation for the additional economic obsolescence that I discovered with this lot.
Which is,
It-
in
it
layman's
has-
terms,
People use it as a driveway to get to the exterior. It goes down the Cove Road. It's the lot at the very end of Cove Road before you get to the Hudson's house. That's a lot,
oh,
and it has a right of way through it. It has beach, but what are you gonna do?
Okay, so
And
you're
it's in resource
suggesting
protected,
we
same deal as
don't
the
do the
other, so-
11,000, we do 3,228?
yes,
I mean, I can go with that, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
can you do that?
absolutely.
All right, so you wanna make a,
Second.
and for which year? This fiscal year, to
Yes.
make a motion
Yes.
that for the year 18-19, we will reduce the assessed value by 3,228 for that lot.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I did have one
Second.
other thing I wanted to share with the board about number 1.
Okay, well, let's finish
But
this
let's
vote. We had a second,
Mhm. All in
all in
favor?
favor?
Yeah.
All right, number 1. Okay,
This is a lot that sits, it's the last buildable lot on South Lubec Road as you go around the corner. So you're going down South Lubec Road, and it's on the left there. Was a lot that was originally promised to, you know, popular lore has it that it was promised to the folks who bought property down there to become a shorefront lot for them to come and visit, you know, to go over, you know.
Mhm.
It's also a bird nesting habitat. And as such, I took 15% off of it. It was surveyed, and it has a good site. It has a site for a full house, and it has a nice view of the bay. It's not like the other lots further up. The lot that's most comparable to that is the one that's straight across. When you go across the way, you go across the causeway there, that's state of Maine land. As you round the corner, that's all state of Maine. Then the next lot over there is assessed for $145,000. The next buildable lot with a house on it. That's $145,000. So it's comparable to that, but it's been reduced to $71,320 because, you know, it has a restriction on it. You know,
You have to put the site in a certain location or you'll disturb the birds.
and yeah, and when you're building your house, you have to build it. You can't build it during the spring season.
Oh, maybe see that.
Or when they're raising their young, you have to keep the noise down, all that stuff. But he's had this lot listed, I'm pretty sure, for well over $100,000,
Okay, so it's already had considerable reduction in assessment, so
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
doing that work,
Yeah.
and I know you work
Let's
quite
hope this is
with-
an end to it, Jim.
Yeah.
Well, I hope, you know, I guess, I don't know.
Thank you. So, I'll appreciate it, so I'll entertain a motion to close the assessors meeting and open the select board meeting.
Yes, so moved.
Second,
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank you,
Jim.
Jim.
All right, I need a motion to sign the warrants.
So moved.
All in favor? Warrants, is that?
Did you make the, open this up in the group?
Well, we didn't, we made a motion to close the assessors and we opened, you don't need a motion to open the select board meeting.
And we don't need to pledge your allegiance again.
Really?
Well, are you sure you don't want to sing the national anthem
No.
instead?
Let's go ahead and do it.
All right, no takers on that. No singers in the crowd.
There you go.
Need a motion to approve the minutes for March 6th meeting?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Did you sign anything to that? Old business, local food ordinance.
There you go.
They say three's a charm.
Yeah.
We need a motion to reopen the discussion on the food ordinance.
Yeah, I would move that we reopen the discussion on the food ordinance.
And I will second that, and I will say that I read the new draft,
So did I.
and it is
Yes.
phenomenal.
Yes.
All in favor?
Well done, yes.
So I think what happened was, there was a template from the state originally that Karen had nicely worked on, and I think there was been an updated template that Felicia Newman worked on, and I believe that what we were trying to do at the last meeting, when we interjected a definition of site of production as being the boundary of Lubec, and if you read the new template, it does imply that all food grown and processed in the municipality can be sold at farmers markets, at craft fairs, and whatever, face to face, as long as it's face to face, and it doesn't say it has to be at the site. So I think it would be a really good idea to use that ordinance because it's directly from the state,
Yes.
and then we won't have any problems. So this is just a vote to go with the new submitted ordinance by Felicia Newman. And then we will discuss it further at a public hearing May 1st.
Okay.
And right after the public hearing, we'll have a special town meeting in which 25 people need to be present. And the majority rules that the ordinance will be enacted at the time of the special town meeting. And that will be before the select board meeting. And is it at 4? I think it's at 4. Public hearing may be at 4 and the special town meeting at 5.
What day?
May 1st.
May 1st.
That's,
So we'll get it down on the billboard so that
it'll be
people,
down.
yeah.
so we need, so are we gonna go with this ordinance in the
Yes,
public
I
hearing?
move that we accept this, this ordinance,
Oh, wait.
and bring it to
Okay,
the.
well, why, okay, so we can do a motion, a second, and then we can go to discussion.
I'll
Yes.
second it.
Okay, so now it's discussion.
Yeah.
Karen?
Just to clarify, though, the one that you have now before you, that you're presenting from Felicia,
Yeah,
and myself essentially, that does not come from the state of Maine, the definitions do. It comes group called Local Food Ordinance, Local Food something group. But it's not,
Oh,
neither one
okay.
of these is from the state. So
Oh,
I just
okay,
wanted to
so that's
clarify that.
it comes
The
from,
first one was based on the Chias's ordinance.
which they didn't get.
And the second one is from,
Where's it up
more
there?
of a national group.
Oh.
So just wanted to be sure you.
Oh,
heard that.
good, well, I
Okay.
thought it was, I did think it was a link from the state, so it's from a food ordinance.
I don't remember the
I-
name of
I-
the
where's
website, but it's a local food
Yeah.
sovereignty
Yeah, there you go.
group.
The local
Yeah.
food and community self-governance ordinance in 2019, and it's a link, see, I was thinking, so I don't know who wrote this. But I assume-
Lots of towns use this one as well, so.
Pardon me?
Many
Many-
towns
Oh,
use
yes.
this as their template as well.
Okay.
Okay, so we will further make sure we know where this came from, but I think this is the best one so far. We'll go with this for the
Perfect.
public hearing. And
Perfect.
just because we're going with this at the public hearing doesn't mean that it's not set in stone until it's voted in.
Okay.
We'll make sure that it's being used by other towns. And you know for a fact it's being used by other towns.
Yes.
And when that's all done, we'll have it available to those who are participating in the farmer's market. And,
Well, we'll have many copies of this ordinance for you to
Yeah.
review at 4 o'clock, so that you know what you're voting on at 5. That's why we're gonna spend an hour
Oh,
making sure
grand.
everybody knows. So did we vote? Any more further discussion on that ordinance? All in favor? So we had to vote to reopen the discussion, and we voted for using that one. Oh, goody. Sidewalk project update, do you have an update on that?
No, I don't. No, I'll put that
So I think
sidewalk.
we're gonna have to table that, because Renee is, our town administrator was testifying against, she went down nicely and testified in front of the appropriations committee today, to go against the recommendation that they change the law that's gonna be enacted from 2% to 5% on the revenue sharing, from 2% to 2.5%, and we went to, in support of continuing the law as written. The statute was written that it would go into effect July 1st, 2019, and now the new administration wants to only raise it to 2.5. So we did
We
send her
wanted to
down.
return it to the original 5%.
And it was
yeah.
5% years
Yeah.
ago, and it equates to about $70,000 to $90,000 to
Mhm.
us if it's 5% more that we would get, that would offset our taxes.
Mhm.
You have to make a motion to table.
Make a motion to table the Washington Street sidewalk project update, because Renee's working on that.
Oh, good.
All
I
in-
did see somebody down
all
there
in-
with that measure, yes.
All in favor?
Yeah.
New business. John Southern, DECC, Rogers Island update, you're on. Thank you very much for sitting through our assessors meeting.
I have some information here for you. This will basically sum up what I have to say. Jim? 1303? I'll make a stack copy if you want. Okay, would you like me to stand or sit down first? Well, before I sit, if I can introduce our board president, she's come here today so that you can meet her.
Hello.
Alan Mostert. Next to Alan is Kyle Winslow, he's our stewardship director. So he takes care
you for
of
coming.
the management of our properties.
So you
Okay,
have-
so,
No problem.
yeah, my head's probably cut off right there. So, I've met three
John
of you.
Southern.
Yeah, my name's John Southern.
Yes, you,
Can I have a copy up here?
Yeah, can I leave one with you, because this is the only copy I have?
Okay, I'll
So
come
leave-
across it.
Yeah, I'll leave this one.
yes,
with
we'll
you.
give you one.
I'll take
Yeah.
it when you get back.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm John Southern. I'm Executive Director of Down East Coastal Conservancy. I've met with, I think, the three of you, but
Yes.
not you, so. We've had some discussion about this before, so I don't think you need me to go into a lot of the history. I believe the main thing that you've asked me to come here today for is to discuss the budget for this project. But if I can just go through some of these notes so that we understand where we're at with this and what our proposal is for the protection of Rogers Island. First of all, I want to say that we're just ecstatic that we're able to be a part of this. This is pioneering on the part of Lubec. You've taken basically charge of your protection of your own property here. A very important property, a property that's critical to the protection of the fisheries in the bay and to coastal erosion. So that in addition to the bird sanctuary value of the property, it's very important to the people of Lubec. So as you know, the town voters voted in the town's annual meeting in August of 2018 to put the island into conservation. The reason this has come about is the town acquired the island in 1979. And basically it was believed from that time until recently that the island had every protection it needed. With recent issues with things like rockweed harvesting, it came to light that the island doesn't have the protections that everybody thought that it had. And it's certainly not, in terms of the strong legal definition of conservation, it's certainly not in conservation that would protect it in the future. So putting Rogers Island into conservation will not change how Lubec sees Rogers Island, and that's important that we emphasize that. Ever since the town voted in 1979 to accept the gift of the island, it's been treated as if it was in conservation, and I don't think anyone has questioned that. That's our understanding of it anyway. Obviously, when we were approached last year, part of that came about because the Maine Department of Marine Resources highlighted that the island isn't in conservation, and therefore
They couldn't enforce the non-rockweed harvesting because of that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to go through all of this. I will leave this with you to review. Some of this we've discussed in the past, and we've got beyond certain stages of what this outlines. What we're proposing is a conservation easement on Rogers Island, and we want to make it clear to the townspeople that the town will still own the island. And that's absolutely critical that the town remains owner of the island. We're not proposing ownership of it. We're simply proposing that we place a conservation easement on Rogers Island, and that through that tool of conservation, we help with the management of that island. And we'll get to how that impacts the budget in a few minutes here. There'll be a couple of documents that need to be created for us to move forward on this. It is a pretty involved legal process. It's going to require working back and forth to make sure that in that easement the wording is workable for the town. And of course the complications of that are we have to look into the future, and whatever we create now is binding forever. So it needs to be a document that's workable if future conditions change.
So it'll be incorporated in the deed.
Yeah. So what we're proposing is that our lawyer draws up the conservation easement. The wording from that will come with meetings with myself and Renee and myself and yourselves, if that's what you choose. During that process, we'll define what you want to allow to happen or not to happen on Rogers Island.
The thing I remember from the last conversations was that definitely the rockweed was to stop.
Yeah.
But the clammers wanted to be protected because
Yeah.
that's a fairly active clamming site, and they could continue to use it.
We never like to interfere with clamming
Yeah.
operations. In fact, it's pretty common in the land trust world to
Sure.
protect clamming access. We have properties right now that we make sure that we protect clamming access. Yeah, we see that as critical and not detrimental to conservation. Yeah. And that can be written into the
Sure.
easement. Yeah. So Right now, it's understood that you have approximately $80,000 in the fund remaining for the protection of Rogers Island. And it's also my understanding that you want to somewhat protect that money for use for Rogers Island. So we talked in the past meetings about protecting that money at Maine Community Foundation. What we would suggest is that you meet with Maine Community Foundation. Their representative will come here. They will propose the structure of that fund and how it will be managed, the implications of investing in Maine Community Foundation. The rough rundown of how those funds operate is on your second page of my summary here. Basically, when you invest that amount, you typically have 4% of those funds to draw down every year. And you can roll those funds over to allow it to continue building up to a point where once it reaches $15,000 of rollover, if you don't spend it, it rolls into the principal amount, and that principal amount can grow and grow and grow. In part of drawing up that Maine Community Foundation agreement, what I would recommend is we create a 3-person panel, 2 representatives from Lubec and 1 representative from Down East Coastal Conservancy. That way, if we see a project that's necessary, that's going to cost quite a bit of money, that will probably use up a big chunk of that 4%, and that committee can make a decision on that expenditure and those projects. We don't invade the principal typically, unless you've got to a point where you've rolled over and it's grown and you see that a bigger project is necessary.
Have we had to spend any money at all on the island? At all?
No.
No, I don't foresee any buildable, anything at all that we're
Yeah,
going to
I,
be doing with it.
as well,
Other than
I think
protecting it.
there may be a bench park,
Yeah, there's a couple of
Yeah,
picnic
there's a-
tables and,
which,
yeah.
you know,
minor
which
stuff.
seem to be fine.
On the-
And
Yeah.
my thought would be, we keep it, we maintain it, we keep quiet about it. You
Yeah.
know, it's draw as little attention to it.
Well,
as
our
possible.
recommendation would be, having studied the island and we're yet to go out and do bird surveys and things like that, but our recommendation at this point is not to build trails on the island. The habitat, in our opinion, doesn't lend itself to a trail network. The picnic area is fine. I would suggest maintaining the picnic tables and leaving it at that.
So that's
really.
not gonna eat up more than 4%
Oh,
of the
heavens, no.
principal.
No.
And
And
You
there
know-
is a couple who live fairly close and within visual of the island, who are very conscientious
Yeah.
about what's happening there. And it might be good to implore them to kind of keep us informed if anything unsavory were to be happening.
Yeah.
And I think they would do that.
Well, and part of what we do, Kyle works with volunteer stewards, and maybe they could be approached as volunteer stewards at some point to work with Kyle. Kyle would arrange for annual monitoring visits to make sure the island is kept within the easement conditions, to address any issues that may potentially come up. And coordinate things like a cleanup on the island. The islands tend to catch a lot of trash as the tide comes in and out.
True.
So that would be the steward's function on our part.
And if I recall, isn't that parcel of land also includes some kind of boat launch on the mainland,
Yeah,
right?
and I've made a note on that.
Yeah.
Our DCC's recommendation is not to put any kind of restriction or easement on that property.
Yeah,
We would advise the town not to tie that piece up.
yeah.
It's not really developable as it is.
no, we don't have a boat launch on there.
No, it's on land.
Yeah, it's a
Where
parking
it is.
area that you can launch a
Yes, where you-
Well,
canoe
it's
from
just
or-
beach.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
but
anything, it's
It
not.
goes with the Rogers Island property, that's all I'm saying.
That's
Yeah.
what the septic
Yeah.
system
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's a septic system there
Really?
on Rogers Island?
We just went through that about.
not on Rogers Island, on the
No,
actual
on the law,
site.
on the
On the park,
shore.
on the park.
Yeah.
That's what we feel there, yes.
The intent behind that parcel was to park 3 or 4 cars
Yes.
and people to
Oh,
launch
this,
kayaks
oh,
from
but this
there.
is on this side.
Yeah.
This is on
Yes,
the
yes.
island, okay, like, I'm like, where
Yeah,
am I
the
here?
two always get tied together, but
Okay.
we recommend not
Oh.
tying up that piece with an easement.
Yeah.
Part of the reason for
That
that
makes
is you may decide at some point,
Right.
if we were able to get grants or whatever, or grow that fund to a certain
Mhm.
point, you may decide to do some type of boat
Yeah,
access
just put
from
the
there.
easement on the island itself,
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know how you agree, what you think.
So
So-
if we wanna quickly get to
What is the,
costs.
I'm curious, I was looking at the bill, total projected annual cost is not much. So this 3,548 is for the initial legal costs of the,
Yeah.
of communicating with the town and actually procuring these,
That would be
easement.
for drawing up the easement.
Yeah,
Now,
and
if you
that's
look
what-
at the costs, you'll see $2,600 for legal costs. Of that is $200 for a title search and title insurance. Now, there's been some discussion of the town's owned it for 40 years about challenge, is that really necessary? As part of our due diligence process, we have to recommend it.
I think
You'd be,
probably so.
for $200, you'd be strongly advised to do that.
Yeah, sure.
Understandable.
And that way you would get, it's minimal title insurance, but you would get $30,000 insurance. You would get the comfort of knowing that no one's gonna contest it and void the easement. Because if it was to be contested successfully, that would void the easement at a later date.
Yes, I don't think it's
Yeah,
worth
for
saving
$200.
$200,
Yeah.
seeing as it's been,
Money
it's a
well
very
spent.
nice
Yeah.
piece of property. So this is, fair, I believe we voted
Yes.
to not to exceed 5,000 and putting in
Yeah.
easement, so 3,500, give or take, if you,
Yeah,
I know you have in here a budget for the Lubec water, so I don't know what that'll be.
Well,
but
you may
Should be
have,
more than that.
under your lawyer's retainer, that may cover minimal work like reviewing the easement, I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you broke that
So you
down.
may not have costs, or you may, I don't know what your arrangement
I
is with the
guess-
town lawyer. But we would advise strongly that you have your lawyer review what
Mhm.
we submit to
Yes.
you. That way there's no future ill feeling
Yes.
if you feel it doesn't fit.
No, that's
Um,
fine.
Yeah. And again, legal fees, I'm sure I don't need to tell you, these are approximate. We don't know what a lawyer may uncover. So just to add in a little bit of disclaimer there, these are best faith figures, and we don't project it going over $5,000.
That looks fine.
good.
Do you,
You've
do
done a
you
great
need
job.
a vote from us to go forward with setting up a panel? What would be the next step?
The next step is that we draw up a declaration of trust. That's just a good faith agreement that you will pay these fees.
So
because-
like a memorandum of agreement, of
Yeah,
understanding?
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
pretty much. That way then we can engage the lawyer to start these documents and
Yes.
know that
Okay.
the fees for that will be covered.
Yes,
It's not that we don't trust you, it's purely, it's part of the process.
of
But-
course.
And that way you can know what to expect from us as well, so it's a two-way agreement. If we don't fulfill our side of it, then you can hold us accountable.
so,
Good.
do we have
Do
a
we need to vote
motion?
on this, or
We
do
need a
do-
motion and a second to go
I
forward
move
with that.
we move forward with this.
I would
Wonderful agreement.
recommend a motion to approve the approximate budget
Yes,
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
would
That's
definitely
fine.
approve the
and a
approximate
motion
budget.
to proceed with.
Yes,
and
motion to
proceed.
approve the approximate budget and to proceed with a memorandum of
We've already
understanding.
approved the budget.
Second, yeah.
Pardon me?
We've already approved the budget up to five.
Well, yes, so this one that he presented it was to. Second, is there any discussion at all in the, before we vote on this? Anybody have any questions about what we're doing to Rogers Island? So, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We look
Thank you,
forward
John.
working
Good to
with
see you again.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
So we have a resignation of the AOS feasibility ad hoc committee from Ellen Case. But I believe Renee talked to her and we wanted to just make her an alternate. Because her reasoning was just because there was an even number and there needed to be an odd number.
Yes,
So is Ellen here?
Paul was here.
Well, I don't know if I can speak for Ellen, I don't know. I think that she had said that was fine being an alternate, you know? So, provided it's, Ellen's acceptable to
Yes,
that,
yeah,
the select
that
board would
seems
like
reasonable,
to, suggest that she stay on the committee as an alternate, meaning if even one person doesn't show up, she would be a voting member.
Yes.
And we will, I think that sounds good.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? So of course, it's subject to her approval, obviously,
Yes.
or somebody's on the committee. Sewer abatement account 310000, have on septic. All right, I have some comments on this.
Okay, which one is that one?
The rule was, from my understanding is when the septic, what?
I'm gonna look, what company you looked at.
I'm,
Oh, she's there.
yeah,
I
right
got
here.
it.
So I think that I would like to hold off until there is a proof of the plans that the septic was put in prior to 1991, or was it 1990? So the rule was if you had a working septic system when the town transferred itself into a sewer system, that you could continue using your septic system provided it was maintained and worked correctly. So I believe in order to assure the town that the septic system is in good functioning order, you have to do a dye test, which I don't think you can do in the middle of the winter. So I would like to table this until such time as proof is that his septic system is in fact still working, because it's been 29 years.
Mhm.
Do I have a second on
I
that?
will second that.
All in favor? Marathon change request, I believe Maureen,
There's more than one abatement.
Yeah.
there's only one
There's
on here.
Pleasant.
Oh, it just has a number, oh, there's only one number.
Oh,
And I
okay,
don't know
so
why
you have
this is
another
raised.
one?
I think this is contradictory, because, I'm not gonna overstep, but I think that that one was actually, it was billed for 56, sorry, it was billed for 265, and I think they have, a
Well, the
road
one we
for
just
something.
voted on
Yeah,
was the
I think
person
that
who
was-
requested an abatement due to the fact that they had their own septic system. That's whatever account number that is,
Yeah,
that's
it
what.
is, but it
Yeah,
was-
that's one,
It
that's
says billing error, no usage. I think that was maybe a misprint on here, but I'm not sure, and I'm not gonna just,
okay, well, this
But-
one here,
yeah,
this
it's
one
not.
here says billing error,
no
no
usage.
usage.
But I think this on the agenda is either a misprint or shouldn't,
Well, Renee told me, no,
Oh,
that's
she did,
this
okay.
one. It is this
Okay.
one.
Yeah,
It is this one.
Yeah, 'cause see here, it says abatement 209, but they're leaving the 5610.
Okay, so,
So,
right.
we'll
because
just,
of me.
yeah, I
So
put it down
this
there on
here
the
is-
table.
I'm confused.
Is, septic. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just,
Well, there's
it
two
has
different
septic.
listings, that's why I was asking.
Ah,
All right. Well, we didn't
I got in here
include
that
it
it
with
says to
anyway.
abate, no. Oh,
All right, so we need a motion
I mean,
to
not
abate
abate, table, sorry.
sewer account 417301 for $12.48, billing error. Do I have a motion to,
so moved, yes.
All in
Let's sign it.
favor?
Yes.
so the Marathon asked to close the street, we have three of them? Okay. So we have this one. So we actually have one more sewer abatement, sewer account
Okay.
301,950, for the sum of 11220, billing error, duplicate bill, same property. Do we have a motion to accept that?
So moved.
All in favor? I know you didn't do the agenda, go ahead. Now, I think we're to the
Sewer
marathon.
commitment?
Any more sewer
Sewer
payments?
commitment. My thing here says next to sewer commitment.
Huh?
My paper here that was given to me about the minutes for the meeting says next to signed sewer commitment.
Yeah, you
We
just
signed
skipping
that during the assessors, during the
Next
assessor
to
meeting.
sewer commitment,
Over the quarter.
yeah.
So explain.
This is the original sewer commitment that was done, and this is an additional one that
Excuse me.
Trio didn't tag to a
Bill's
Oh,
already
it's
been
time to
sent
go.
out. So why do we sign the commitment after the bills are already sent out? Don't we have to
That's the way
sign,
it's always been
don't we have to
done.
sign it first?
No,
Oh,
technically by law, that was rescinded a year or two ago, but we keep doing it as procedure.
okay. So we need to sign the sewer commitment allowing us to bill the sewer. people.
Okay.
$31,397.78 for November 1st to January 31st. Do I have a motion to sign the sewer commitment?
So moved.
All
I
in
will second
favor? Okay. And we have an additional certificate of commitment for 1/12/20 because we forgot somebody.
Sure it was,
Three was being painful. Do we have a motion to accept that or
I
a second?
so moved.
All in favor? All right. Okay. I need a stamp. Marathon. Okay, are we sure we're done?
no, what's going on?
Maureen asked if we could change the closure of Water Street between Main and, School. Instead of closing, keeping it closed at 4, they wanted to keep it closed till 7. I don't think that will affect anybody because it is in fact a Sunday and it won't affect the stores.
No, no.
And I believe that the brewing company is part of the, works with the marathon.
Sure.
So we need a motion to change that agreement with the marathon. Do we have a motion?
I would move that we accept this request from Warning Board.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, something good.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, excellent. So, during the past, I'll have to find yours. What's this in the middle?
That's just a marathon.
Oh, I got it stuck in the middle. So Renee received a letter that I will read, which is a happy note. Dear Renee, as a follow-up to our phone conversation today, here is a change request from the, oh, no, this is the marathon thing. Where is the other, the good one?
Congratulations.
Yeah, oh, here we go. Dear Ms. Dennison, congratulations are in order for the town of Lubec and for Renee Gray, clerk. The Maine Town and City Clerks Association has awarded Ms. Gray certification, which carries the distinction of Certified Clerk of Maine status. The certification process has required many hours of dedication to achieve. The certification process requires that applicants receive training in a number of courses that relate to their field of expertise and continue with the education and effort to retain the certification status. So Ms. Gray will be recognized for receiving this certification at the MTCCA's annual meeting and networking day on September 10, 2019 at the Waterville Elks Conference Center in Waterville. So we would like to congratulate Renee for doing all of that hard work. I don't know how she puts in the time to get all those classes done. But if that wasn't good enough, dear Ms. Gray, congratulations are in order for the town of Lubec. The Maine Municipal Tax Collectors and Treasurers Association has approved Suzette Francis as a certified tax collector and treasurer. I just pray they don't go anywhere else now that they have all the certifications. No, we've sworn them this day, no. This certification process has required many hours of dedication to achieve. The certification process required that applicants receive training in a number of courses that relate to their field, and it was hard because of all the regular routine training they have to go to. This was all above and beyond what they had to do for their job, and I'm really proud of them.
And that
I
gives
know
her-
we all are very proud.
And
Very
that
good.
gives,
We're gonna just pack up in your office.
Congratulations, Suzette.
and it gives the town a reduction on their property P&C insurance.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes. I think that was very motivating. She kept saying, if I get this, we're gonna get a smaller bill.
10 or 15% on 29,000.
That is
Wow.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Wow.
not
No,
bad.
10%.
That's like 20,
It's
how
like
much?
that.
29,000, that's 2,900, right?
I'm thinking it's like between 10 and 15, I'm not exactly sure.
Wow.
Good for you.
I was waiting for her.
That's budget season.
Yes.
That's a good time to get a letter, so, do you know?
Never thought of that.
Yeah,
I just know they have a cutoff date of April 1st,
yes.
and it's the same time that our P&C renewal wraps, so it's kind of like crap.
Okay, FEMA? FEMA sent, I'm always getting letters from FEMA and something, so it says here, Ms. Dennison, the purpose of this letter of map revision is to remove the coastal barrier resources system unit boundaries from the effective flood insurance rate maps for your community. Historically, the CBRS unit boundaries and flood insurance prohibition date for each area were included in the firms for informational purposes. They're just taking some of the information off. But, they just want us to know that we can't get this information on their maps anymore. I'm not sure how that affects us yet, but we will find out. So, or any other business? Jason, any business? Anything to report on any of your meetings that you've been to?
Everything's going good with Marion. The cost is still down.
Good.
You know, still pretty good. Everything's looking good, the budgets, and Marion's doing real well. And everything's all good. It's all roses.
Trash.
Yeah, sure,
Yes,
sure,
it's all
sure.
roses.
Rachel,
Yeah.
update on broadband or update on recycling?
Well, recycling, we're gonna have our first meeting since the winter, April the 8th. And it will be here, and we need to have a good look at what we're doing and where we're going, because the state of recycling is in sad shape. The other thing is the broadband fiber optics. I am planning a meeting here in the town office about the second week of April. And you know, as I've said before, I'm trying to bring in Edmonds, you know, Trescott, you know, all of the other unorganized territories here to participate, and in the interest of transparency, I would like them to know what's out there. So I'm thinking it'll be the second week of April, and we'll have Don Llewellyn come down from Pioneer in Presque Isle to talk to everyone about it. The other piece of news that I got today, and I don't know whether everybody knows this woman, Peggy Schaefer, who lives here during the summer and is in Augusta most of the winter. She has been instrumental in keeping us abreast of everything that's going on in the broadband field. And she's just been promoted to be the head of the Connect Me for Maine. So she will be the head honchos, which
And
is
she
very
comes
nice.
over the summer.
Yes,
Excellent.
it's good news, good news.
Well, Julie Keene and I went to the Fisherman's Forum, and we met with both Senator Collins and Senator King's fishing experts, as well as meeting the senators. And we did a presentation on safe harbor, and that went well. And then we also met with the governor's senior planning advisor, and that went well. And what came of the meeting, we met with also the DEP, and we met with the Army Corps of Engineers, all in the last 2 weeks, so I'm really exhausted. But we did find out, I spoke to the United States Department of Transportation in Washington, and there will be another round for what is now called a BUILD grant, B-U-I-L-D, instead of the Tiger grant, for large infrastructure projects, and the typical grant award is between $5 and $15 million, and the good news is if a rural community, of which 50% of the grants are given to rural communities, if we are awarded this grant, there's no matching funds.
Excellent, excellent.
We do have to show I would suggest a significant monies for maintenance. They will look at that, so rather than to request foundations and land trusts and all the people that we were gonna go begging and crying for money for matching funds, that we would go and ask for pledge letters to put into a maintenance fund, so that we in fact go ahead with the application with a stockpile of money, significant amount of money, so that we don't have to, the town, including myself, doesn't have to worry about where the money's gonna come from going forward. So that was really a very,
That's a good,
very good 2 weeks.
your trip was successful. That's good.
So let's, don't go for it. 13% of the applicants receive the money. So that's our,
We'll get it.
yeah,
Mhm.
we can try, right? If you don't try, you never know. But when he said no matching funds, I'm like, Did you say that again?
Because that's almost
So, it's
impossible to
pretty,
do.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And in the timeline, there's 2 years of feasibility, 5 years to complete the project. I think a lot of the feasibility studies have been done. So, it'd be great, and I believe the request for proposal will be out in the next few months, so.
Good.
Now it's just getting excited to write the grant.
Yeah, that's always exciting, don't you think?
Oh, yes, that's brilliant.
It's, yeah, those quiet moments, they're nothing better than writing a
Oh.
grant.
Of course, we don't have, we want to do it. You have to be excited to do it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, and part of it is that the community is excited too. So we will, before a lot of work is done to actually write the grant, we will have a public hearing on it and we will want community support. Just wanting it to happen because they want to know that the community would like to have this breakwater and safe harbor.
Yeah, it's
Anyway,
imperative.
so we'll see how that goes. I don't know. Do we have any public comment?
Yeah, I got a few questions.
Okay, Paul.
Number one, when you fellas donate the money to the state on the sidewalks,
Well, I don't know if we donated money.
well,
You mean when we voted for the,
Right, give
back in the
money.
day, 40,000 to put aside?
right,
Yes,
then
I
you went
know.
on to more. Why wasn't I notified that you fellas was gonna take a piece of my property? I was not notified from none of you fellows up here that was on board at the time.
The right of way, which is what you're talking about, the right of
No,
way?
I'm talking about the landing zone.
Right, which is part of the right of way. I believe by law that the Department of Transportation was
Stop,
to notify you.
stop right there.
They're the ones doing the right of way.
No, you fellas asked for the landing zone. The state wasn't gonna put no landing zone in at all. The lady came to me from DOT and she says, the town of Lubec should have notified you, Mr. Case, on your property that they was gonna do this.
Well, you should
I
have
wanna
been-
know why I wasn't
I
notified.
totally agree with you. You should have been notified. So
Why wasn't I?
I don't have a good answer because when I went to the meeting about a year ago now, they said they were taking care of all the right of ways, which I would have, they were sending out, they were notified. That's something that the town I will have to call tomorrow, the state, and find out what happened there. And I would like to know the name of the person that spoke to you, so I can follow up on what happened. Pardon me?
Cheryl Dudley.
Cheryl Dudley. And was she part of the Department of Transportation?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
And I
Well,
can give you her number,
okay, yes, good, please do.
207
Mhm.
624 3518.
And what's the last four? 3-5?
3518.
I'll be right on it, Paul. I would feel exactly the same way you did. I don't think it's right and should have been notified, whether we were, I will take the first blame if it was our fault. But nonetheless, I'd like to find out what happened, because
Well-
it was my understanding that the state was taking care of the entire right-of-way procedure in this, and that they were notifying all the, measuring and notifying all the landowners. So if you were not notified,
I got a letter from the state and I called them and I asked them what was going on with this letter.
and you have a copy of the letter,
I have it all at home, yes I do.
okay, can you bring it up in the morning?
I can bring it down.
Okay,
No
great.
problem.
Okay, great. So I'd like to just see what they told you. Let me just
Because
figure
I
out.
called on it and I said, what is going on here? Well, we're gonna take from the hydrant down so many feet, we're gonna go so wide, and we're gonna put a landing zone there. This is what the town of Lubec ordered.
See, my thought is, Paul, I don't even know why the town is involved.
Yeah,
I don't know
State
why-
road with
it is a
sidewalk.
state
Yeah,
road.
state road.
Yeah.
Why
can't
we're throwing
figure
money
this out.
away is a bunch of crap.
I'm with
We
you.
can't afford to do it to begin with.
I'm totally with you.
Yeah,
It-
was before.
This is not the first time there's been problems, Paul. I mean, and we inherited this.
Yes,
from,
we
you know,
none of us were on this, I'm not saying that we're not gonna help. But
Yeah.
I believe that back when the select board agreed that it would sound like a nice project to have a sidewalk, it's a problem because
But
now
to
they.
put a landing zone where they wanna put it,
I think the history of the grant was Heather Henry helped write the grant to the town for something to do with the safety of the children from the school. If I recall, that was
Yeah.
because your property is
On the corner.
on the corner where the children would be walking to school.
How many kids walk to school today? Can any of you tell me?
Well,
Can any of you fellows tell me
this
how
was
many
on
kids walk to
John
school today?
Sutherland promoted this grant and we inherited it. And when it got to the point that we inherited it and it had already spent like $34,000, I approached the town with, what do you wanna do with this? And I called up and I called the DOT and I asked them, okay, what's the ramifications if we quit? Well, okay, we don't want this sidewalk, you know, this is just throwing bad money, it's bad, you know, we've already spent so much and we've seen nothing. And they said, then they sent the bid out and they gave us a re-estimate that caused it to go from 40 to 70. And they said,
There won't be no more.
you gotta pay it back. If we stop right now, they've already spent, and I will get you the exact figure. I don't know. I know it was
Oh, how much?
upwards of 40,000 right now.
Paul, how much sidewalk is there on South Street going
None.
to school?
None.
Exactly, zero.
And where they wanna put it is in the wrong spot to begin with.
They wanna put it on the other side of the street. It's not on your side, right? They want
No,
your
it's on
landing.
my side of the street.
The sidewalk, the we walk.
No,
The landing zone is going on my side of the
It's
street.
not the sidewalk though.
The landing zone, you know what, how far those landing zones set up? They're up a long ways. Go to Bangor, something like Walmart, and look at one of those landing zones. There isn't one kid that walks to school anymore in town of Lubec, they all ride a bike. Every one of them. And where you folks wanna put this landing zone is a bunch of crap, because any kid that leaves Lubec High School or the grammar school down there and walks to the library, they're on the right-hand side of the road going up, they're on the left-hand side going down. Landing zone should have been across the street,
And where should the sidewalk have been?
be where it's at.
Oh, yeah, where is?
But your
where-
landing
now?
zone, where you guys
So
want
you're
to
saying it should be
But
like a
the
nursing
landing
home?
zone should be on the side where the old nursing home. is.
Yes.
Exactly.
Is that what you're
Okay.
saying?
That's where they
Yes.
walk up the hill and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
That would make sense.
Well, it makes sense to me.
Mhm.
But I was
They-
told they can't do it because the blueprints are all made up and they've already spent this X amount of dollars
They're
on
supposed to be coming, and that's why I have put on the agenda for the past 2 meetings, an update on the sidewalk project, because we haven't gotten an update. The town has not gotten an update as far as I know from the
Well, to be
DOT.
honest, Paul, they claim they've redesigned this thing to the tune of $68,000. They keep coming back to the town for more money.
Yeah.
Because
Well-
they're gonna redesign
Well,
this
the town
to
should have
stay.
stopped a long time ago, as far as I'm
And I'm
concerned.
totally with you.
Well, the cap is 200,000 when John Sutherland submitted the grant, and the town approved
The
it
town can't even
40,000.
afford to pay the friggin' sawmill taxes around here, for God's sake.
You don't see me going for grants for sidewalks. We'll probably have to have a special town meeting well, let's find out what we're in the project for first. And then if you want us to put it before the town, what we've spent so far and whether we want to pull out and,
Mhm.
I'm actually still waiting for the paperwork.
I mean, I have personally no problem speaking on this subject in front, like maybe we have a May 1st special town meeting
Yeah.
coming up or something else.
Well,
Where you
that's-
put the whole subject of the sidewalk grant and what we're in it for and how much money we would lose above the 40,000 we've already put aside for it, just to not have it. I mean, that's up to the town. I mean, we work for the town. We don't work for ourselves or any past administrations.
Yeah.
Why?
I'd add that for your next comprehensive zoning plan, you don't then ask your citizens about sidewalks. Because that's where it all came from. Comprehensive zoning plan brought out a need for sidewalks, and the state said if we matched money, and that was what the 40,000 was put away for by the citizens at annual town meeting,
Yeah,
what they wanted. So if their priorities have changed, get out of this deal however you can, but don't ask again when we have a comprehensive zoning plan about better sidewalks.
I don't disagree that there may be a need for better sidewalks, because this is an entirely walkable town, but people are prevented from that because there is a lack of sidewalks. What they've chosen to do here is look at an existing sidewalk and create all sorts of issues about it.
Quite a few issues.
Yeah.
I was concerned about it the day,
Yeah.
when we did a walk. Jason, I'd like to hear your opinion on it.
I need the paperwork that I was supposed to get, so I can research what the bills were.
Oh, that's, that's right, we voted for
Yeah.
you to oversee
And
them.
I'd like to look
All
into
right,
it.
so
and
I
I'd like to talk to
will,
Paul.
tomorrow, I will call, I'd like to see the letter, and I've done this before in grants, I'd like, because people don't realize that besides CES doing the engineering and sending us bills that we can see, that the DOT is billing us without any, we don't get the DOT bills and then say yes or no. They just bill and they have a little account number for our grant, and they start, oh, we sent this person out to survey, we sent this person out for right of way, and I have to call and say, okay, what is the amount that you have billed to our grant? So I will have to find that.
Well, I believe this lady was up there because she didn't really know how to get a hold of you. And she came to the town
Well,
office
she
and
didn't
asked
talk
how
to
to
me.
get a hold of you.
Right,
She,
that
there
she
was
was
one
talking to
person
Renee.
today that I saw, right? I mean, there was just her.
When,
Because
when
I
did,
happened to be driving up the street,
when
I
was,
saw
when
her.
was this?
Today.
No,
Today?
this wasn't today. This would have been
Like,
a couple of months or so ago.
Oh,
Okay.
see, and I saw
I
one
don't-
today measuring
Month or
stuff.
so ago.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
why
this
don't
is
we
a
get to the
different one.
bottom of it, let's get to the bottom of it, and if they do have finalized plans or preliminary plans,
Mhm.
they need to have a public hearing, and people need to see it, because they can't just,
Well, you all say there's no sidewalk. There is sidewalk. If the state came and took the grass off half the sidewalk that's already there, you'd have a decent sidewalk to walk on.
and that would be,
Three
something
sides.
we could do.
Yes. You've got sidewalks. You've got grass growing on it over a foot and a half long across the sidewalk,
Yeah,
which the state does not maintain, obviously.
yeah, and that is
And that's
the
Jason's
street.
point, it's
That's-
a state
it's
road,
a
and how
state
come they're
road.
not doing,
Yeah.
how come they're not doing
They
it?
should put the sidewalk in, they should pay for it, number one. Number two, they ought to maintain it. I mean, it's
That's
not up to
another
the town
thing,
to
if
put
it's a
a
federal
sidewalk
if it's a federal project, and we get, grant money comes from the federal government,
Mhm.
then the town is obliged to maintain the
Well,
sidewalk.
Right,
Mhm.
but we've taken taxpayer dollars and already thrown it
Yes,
at
to the
thing.
state.
To the tune of
All I know is if you wanna get
$68,000.
out of it, we're out, whatever money's been billed to the project. So, we'll have to
The
find
other
out what
question
that
I have is this here, another $20 on the sewer bills.
Oh, that was something I didn't wanna vote for either, but
Okay, let
it's
me-
a
Well,
long
the
time
fact
coming.
remains, we've been functioning at a deficit for years and
Yeah.
years and years and years.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah,
And
But
nobody wanted to
And
raise.
unfortunately-
I went down through the tax book,
uh-huh.
I picked out one household, $1,209.72. If they can't pay that little bit at the time and it goes to this and you add another $20 on it, where the hell is the town gonna be?
You talking about sewer overages that they can't pay?
Yeah, the sewer bill itself. Your sewer bill total was $104,226.95 at the end of the year, unpaid. And that's not counting the less than $5.
That was 1 year?
No, I don't know what he's looking at. Most of those unpaid sewer
17 and
bills,
18.
yes, that's not, it's 1 year, but that's probably like 4 quarters.
Okay, you got one fella, got
That's a lot of money.
$2,241, and he pays just probably the bare minimum. Are you fellas gonna go after that so the rest of us don't have to keep picking it up?
They follow the same lien rules that everything else does. Every 8
Yeah.
months from the time the bill's committed, 8 months later, a lien notice is sent. The lien notice is sent, 30 days later, a lien is put on. 18 months later, the lien will foreclose if not paid. It's the same rigmarole with the taxes as it is sewers.
This guy, I think, has been doing it for quite a while, he's paying very little, and you folks are letting it
They
slide
probably
through.
pay the minimum of the newest, not newest, sorry, the lien that's gonna foreclose, say it's only $200. That's all they have to
the
pay.
3 years back, it's like the
They-
same as taxes,
That's right,
correct?
they pay
So
that
what's
one
gonna happen if he
time.
walks out tomorrow?
We foreclose
We,
on the
we
land.
get the property.
What are we gonna do with it?
Well,
Right,
that's
we got
that's
that
probably
property now,
out,
we're paying.
municipality's not in the
The
real
town
estate
doesn't have
business.
any owned property. There's
Yeah.
no tax applied property that the town owns at this time.
We got rid of it all,
Every bit of it's gone,
luckily.
until they.
Okay, so my next question is, when this sewer system went in down there, everybody in the town voted on it. Why isn't everybody paying for it instead of just from South Lubec Corner in?
They are, Paul.
No, they're
I think it's
not. No, they're
25.
not.
They're paying
25,000
in
last
the,
year.
regular budget, there's an amount set aside that
I don't
everybody
believe
pays.
Yeah, it was 25 grand last
Well,
year
they were, yes.
at the town meeting.
Everybody
Mhm.
pays a percentage of.
And that's in their taxes.
Yes.
Well, they don't get billed, but it's in the tax,
It's in the
the
tax
overall
bill.
tax budget.
They don't get it, it's not in the sewer bill, they don't
And
get
they've
that
been
one.
helping to
Right.
pay off the
The
loan.
debt,
And
yeah.
now that it was paid, we started with a new 25,000 because we have to redo the whole thing has to be redone in the next 2 to 4 years.
Yeah, that passed last year, Paul.
Well, I don't know how you fellows honestly feel, but the way I look at these figures and stuff, if people can't afford to pay the sewer bill now, they can't afford an extra $80 a year. I'm sorry, you fellows, and another thing, we don't have no jobs in this town whatsoever here, nothing. Nobody wants nothing in here, obviously. When I was a kid growing up, you could walk down Front Street on a Friday and Saturday night, you couldn't walk on the sidewalks. You had to get down the street because there was so much going on. This town is going sinking fast. Something has got to be done here in Lubec to bring some businesses in here, to try to get something in here for people to work. Or you're gonna lose everything.
Do you
I
have,
don't come up here very often.
do you have any ideas to bring businesses in?
Had a chance to have a Dollar General in here, what happened to that?
Don't ask, ask.
That was the
That wasn't us.
taxpayers signed a petition.
That's right,
There was
taxpayers.
enough taxpayers that signed a petition that squashed that idea. I know.
Yeah,
Something has definitely got to come in here. Or we're gonna lose everything.
Renee's been trying, she's been contacting the Dollar General, the Family Dollar, the Dollar Tree to see if there's any bites, but no one, they're not coming in.
Try something else.
You've gotta have a tax base.
Yes,
You gotta have something.
we don't have enough people.
One of
we
the
don't have
things we're
any
doing is
possible.
we're trying to get together with the other municipalities and to argue the fact that we're like the second largest tax evaluation of what our properties are worth in the town. And it's not being offset by the southern Maine, and we're not getting the, people come in and they're well-meaning and they wanna preserve the land, which is great, but it doesn't help the local people that are trying to live here because it takes the land off the tax rolls, and we have to get together to go to Augusta to fight that. But right now, we did send Renee today, to fight the revenue sharing, which is a step in proving, she did a wonderful job, we wrote her a testimony, she helped with it, and she was fantastic, and she just said, hey, we need this money, promoting Maine as the vacation land, everybody come enjoy our land while, we're starving, poor, and we can't eat, and it's really hard, some of the people here really have to go to the food banks, they can't find jobs, and it's really, I'm not personally starving, but I'm just saying there are people that really are suffering, and so we can have beautiful Maine, if there's not gonna be any people here, it's sad, so
Yeah, you got a
we
lot of
need a
people-
voice in Augusta.
You've got a lot of people hurting right here in Lubec.
Yeah,
Believe
and
me.
it's not,
A lot of
it's not funny.
businesses.
I know, because I do a lot of things for nothing for a lot of them.
I know, so
I'm with
we
you
had
there.
somebody try to start a full-time restaurant, but I see that she wasn't able to stay open. Because in the winter, there just isn't the,
We need more than that, though.
That brings up, yeah.
well, Rachel's trying to do broadband, and that's gonna bring what's called cottage industries, people that will come and be able to work out of their homes, and that's something that you don't see improving the area, but it does happen. If you can get a better connection,
A fiber optic.
people like even reservation agents, all kinds of jobs, people can work out of their homes here. If we have the resources to do that, and there is money out there to do that, but it's not gonna happen overnight.
Well, there are two things that people ask when they want to move into a town of a real estate person. And number one is, what are the schools like? And the second thing is, do you have fiber optic broadband? Now, we do have broadband here in town, and people who live in town can get pretty good service. But the further out you go, the less you have, which is why we're trying to get it throughout here, Trescott, Whiting, and everything, because I know people who come here during the summer and say, please, they're all sitting down in front of the library, trying to connect up. And when people move in and can take advantage of fiber optic broadband, many people can work out of their home. And
And
so,
that's the thing in the future.
yeah.
And because fishing is being so regulated and
In
tourism
addition to
is only
that,
4 months
yeah.
long, so it's.
And that's
hard-
petering out. The
Pardon me?
fishing's petering out.
Yeah.
That's just barely hanging on right now.
In addition to that, you can connect up with a doctor, telemedicine, you can do that with broadband and fiber optic. You can take college classes, all kinds of classes. It's an amazing amount of connectivity for people here, and it will change the lives, it really will.
So anyway,
It's gonna cost money.
we,
What doesn't cost you?
I'm
Let's
sorry
put it
that
way.
you have had that experience with the state, and I will be glad to work on that to make sure that people are notified and the town does their share. So
Well, I mean, she
I
kept, you know, I
apologize.
asked her, I said, who gave you folks permission to come on to take my piece of property to put a landing zone in? She says the town up there, the board of selectmen wanted a landing zone.
I would say that that's probably on the surface true, that they didn't necessarily want it with you, you didn't want to have it where it's put. And we, as Jason said, we are not looking at the blueprints, we're not seeing these
Right, no,
things, we don't know,
We don't know.
we don't know.
You fellows should be seeing them. Well,
We
paying
should
for
be,
it,
yeah.
you fellows should be seeing them.
Paul, I can tell you, I've been on here, what, 2 years, 3 years?
3.5.
3.5.
Yes, your second
Time
term.
flies when you're having fun. But every time this subject is brought up, it's a mess. It's just a mess. And I have to say, the state has not been forthcoming. They're quick to send us bills. There's always a lot of money that's hemorrhaging out of here. But they have yet to give us a presentable report as to what's going on down
I
in
have not seen the
Washington.
plan.
And the thing is, Paul, I was supposed to get the plans, the prints, the budgets. Haven't got them yet, and when I do, I'm gonna sit down and look at it.
Plans are available online.
I haven't, I want everything they've got here in
You
the
put in the
town.
job number,
Yeah.
you can find them online.
Well, we'll go on that tomorrow.
And I wouldn't pay the state any money until I seen something.
I wouldn't pay them anything.
No,
I can understand your anger though, because it cuts right off where you
it comes
live.
right out of the ground.
And,
Okay.
We are,
and it makes sense to put it on the other side of the street. I mean, when you talked about it, I realized any
It is, the
fool
sidewalk
would
is
know that
going
that
where
would
it is.
belong on the other side.
It's just he's saying the landing is in the wrong side of the street.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean about
That's
the
what I'm
nursing
saying,
home?
yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that's something that. that needs
Basically,
to
it's a
be-
landing to nowhere. What it is.
Yeah.
Right, because there's no
Nothing
sidewalk.
there.
There's no sidewalk there anyway on South
Yeah.
Street.
But
South
should
Street.
there ever be a child who walks to school, if they put it on the other side, that would be the side of the school. So it would make
Makes
sense.
total sense that it'll be on the other side. I
Well, that's
agree.
what I said to her, she said, we can't change nothing, because we spend all this extra dollars, X amount of dollars on the blueprint.
That
Is
sounds
what
like
she
a
said.
bureaucratic
That sounds like,
excuse.
yeah, I've been there, yeah. That's how well it worked with the garage. Well, thank you for sharing
Anything
that.
else?
Other public comment? So, adjourn, motion to
Let's
adjourn?
do, I move we adjourn.
All in favor?
Yes, we have them through, where are,
Okay.
Kill ya.
I know, thank you.